When I think about joining Banfield, my first priority was not to create a new business strategy. It was to create a people strategy.
Hello, and welcome to the next episode of On Purpose. Today, I'm joined by Brian Garish, the CEO of Banfield Pet Hospitals, the largest chain of pet hospitals in the U.S. Brian, welcome.
Hi, super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You know, it was so interesting when we first met. We talk about it. It was sitting over a coffee in a very small Starbucks. And what was so intriguing when I first met you was your background. So I would say it's not the most traditional background for the president of a very large U.S. company. So talk to me a little bit about your background.
I had no idea that starting off at Walgreens drugstore, 16 years old, stocking shelves, sweeping floors, mopping bathrooms would lead me to Banfield Pet Hospital. When I think back, starting off at 16, it was really about my independence. I wanted that financial independence from my parents. I didn't want to be told no on going to the movies or going out and buying my own dinner with my friends or whatever. And taking that opportunity to get that independence was just unbelievable because the perspective that it provided me, not just in the financial independence as a teenager, but more specifically, being on the front lines and literally working on the front lines for years. It taught me everything. It taught me inclusion, what it meant to have my voice heard or not heard, when our team's voice was heard and wasn't heard, and how that made our teams feel. When corporate made decisions that we didn't think made sense or what we thought our consumers or patients wanted. Those closest to the consumers know what's best or what's working or what's not working. And when corporations don't have that environment of really having that conversation at scale, it can create some divide, or it doesn't create a galvanizing workforce around a purpose.
Since you moved into the CEO role, one of the things that has impressed me most about what you've accomplished is the retention. For people who don't know much about the veterinary space, there's a shortage of vets, and maintaining vets, especially given their student debt and all the challenges they face, has been one of the big struggles in the industry. So talk to me a little bit about what you did to turn that metric around, to engage your colleagues and to keep them.
When I think about joining Banfield, my first priority was not to create a new business strategy. It was to create a people strategy, to make our people strategy truly the business strategy. So culture has been and always will be my top priority. And the way that really comes to life at Banfield is through two really strong ways: our equity, inclusion, and diversity journey, and then our associate health and well-being journey. And when we can do that, undoubtedly, we're going to have better team dynamics, better engagement. And when you have better team dynamics, you have better retention. When you have better retention, then we can actually impact more pets, which truly allows our associates to do what they can do best, and that's make a better world for pets.
I'd love for you to share some of the important work that you, Banfield, and Mars are doing to try to create a healthier veterinary space.
How we've kind of been talking about it at Banfield is, I believe we're solving for the issues that are at the intersection of pet health and societal well-being. What are those big issues in society? How do those issues impact our associates and/or industry? And then what's our responsibility about doing something about it? 1 in 6 veterinarians at some point contemplate suicide. 1 in 10 will have a mental health issue. So it's a big issue in society. It's a big issue in the veterinary industry. So then what's our responsibility about doing something about it? Whether that's Spring Health having counseling available for all of our associates, whether that's creating a program called Ask, Assess, Support, Know, where we are taking all of our associates through this training to destigmatize mental health, that it's okay to talk about this. And 2 years ago, we closed every one of our hospitals and had taken every one of our associates through this training to make sure that people are equipped with some tools and resources. We also then have huddle cards to talk about just how we're feeling, and beyond the, hey, how are you doing? How are you really, really doing today? And having these types of solutions are incredibly important.
Well, Brian, thank you so much. For starters, what you've done for Banfield and for your colleagues there, but also for the way you're advocating for the industry and most importantly for access to care and the human-animal bond for pet owners. So thank you so much for joining me today, Brian.
Of course. Thanks, Kristin. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of On Purpose. Can't wait to see you next month for another episode.